Nowadays, guys, we have Suzanne Peters with EXP, one of the top real estate agents over at EXP. And we're going to have a conversation about real estate and how you succeed in a market that's going really bad. So I just saw that servicing rights are half of what they were last year. In other words, our business is half as busy as it was last year. And yet you're seeing your business improve over last year. So how do you improve a business when things are seemingly falling apart at the seams?
Well, there's always things that you can do better.
Okay.
So I think if you get better, everything around you gets better. You know, rising tide raises all ships. So I think when you're doing something, if you can hone in on your craft a little bit more, and if you can do something better than you did, because we all have areas of improvement and, you know, ways that we know, like, I could have handled that situation better. I could have spoke more clearly or more effective. You know, you could have just made it a better experience. So I think if you're constantly looking for ways to get better and you're sharpening your sword, so to speak, you're probably going to be more effective.
Okay, how do you sharpen your sword? How do you get better? I mean, those are nice words, but like, what are the actionable items?
You look in the mirror. You make sure that, you know, if you, like I said, if you maybe didn't know how to speak to people and resonate with more people, right? I mean, we're in an industry where we don't always get to pick our clients. I mean, we can, but we might have really little business. But people that come to us, they're from all walks of life. And it's like, okay, can you relate to them? Even maybe not necessarily through experience, but can you at least be there to listen? Can you at least show empathy? Or, you know, because again, we help people in different stages of life. It's not always exciting. Sometimes it's devastating. Sometimes they're having to sell a house or move to a different location because of a death in the family, or, you know, a job transfer, and not everybody's on board. So it's like you might feel some reluctance, but it's like, are you getting better at dealing with people, like just on a personal level? Are you learning more about your industry? Are you learning how to, you know, phrase things? Like, we live in California, so we have some of the most strict and some of the largest amounts of, you know, documents to go over. And can you make the process less confusing for whoever you're working with? Can you, again, build a better rapport with a lender or with escrow officers? You know, again, can you communicate more effectively? Can you be more consistent? Those are all things anyone can do and work on.
You said something a moment ago when we were starting this, like you have a small deal where there's not a lot into it. How important is it to put the same amount of effort into that small deal as that big deal?
I think it's dramatically important, because this company, although it's small, they own property all over the country. And I know they own a lot more in California, so they might call on me again. But again, I think perspective is everything, and I will take any deal because it's money, right? It's a transaction. It's an experience. I mean, if you're willing to learn, you'll be able to learn on any deal. Again, if you're not used to dealing with corporations and working with people in the business world, I mean, again, it's just experience. And so I will take any experience, big or small, because they all feed into the greater purpose of becoming one of the best realtors out there. And how do I get that is through experience. So I'll take every experience I can.
Yeah, it's kind of, I heard this one time. Like, all the money goes into the same pot. It doesn't matter if it's 10,000, 2,000, 500. It all kind of goes into the same. It goes into the same pot. So you're building your business right now. Things are getting better for you. Empathy is a huge thing. Treating everybody the same. But like, that doesn't translate to any type of marketing. So how are we getting deals where deals didn't exist? So for you to build your business, are you just building it from within, or are you building it from without? In other words, how are you getting new clients who don't know you and they don't know you and you don't know them?
So I would challenge you to say that the empathy and all of that doesn't build your business, because it does. Because again, people will never forget how you made them feel, and they'll tell someone about it. I would say this year, one way that my business has been built is through referrals that I didn't have, because I didn't have any sales, right, before. So, I mean, I have had so many, I would say probably out of like the 40 some deals that I've already done, I would say at least 15 to 20 have been agent to agent referrals. And the irony is that some of those referrals are from people who live the same distance from me, from who they refer me to. And I'm not talking about like necessarily 2 hours, but like recently I just closed on a property that I live 45 minutes from, and the agent that referred it lives in the same town as me.
Okay.
45 minutes. But yet apparently it was too far. And we actually did a deal where she was the listing agent, I was the buyer agent. And she called me up and was like, "Hey, do you want to take a listing referral?" Absolutely, I do. So I think, again, if that interaction that we had in our escrow wasn't pleasant, I wouldn't have had that referral. I had one gentleman refer me a deal last summer. Since then, I've had like 5 agents call me because he told them to call me.
Right.
And give me business. So I think the way that you treat people in an experience can build your business for you, because again, you are your biggest marketing piece. You can throw all the stuff on social media or in the papers as you want, but when you show up, if you aren't it, everyone's going to know. And so your marketing failed because they're not going to pick you, no matter how flashy, no matter how much money you spend. So you have to do more work on yourself than you do your marketing.
Yeah.
Because you are your marketing.
You said something else before that I think is huge. From a lender's perspective, when a problem shows up on a file, realtors will tend to escalate the problem and make it bigger, thinking they're solving it. And you told me before, like, you always de-escalate, you never hold grudges, and you always just try to get the problem solved and move on. I think that's really, really big. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So every transaction is a moment away from there being an issue. Like, you never know what could pop up. And it doesn't even need to be necessarily lending. Like, there are some cash deals that seemingly have created some crazy amount of stress and issues out of nowhere a lot of times. And a lot of times it is because the people that are doing the communication are not being level-headed. Like, we have one main goal, right, is to transfer the property to a new owner. That's the main goal. And we're just trying to make sure that it's done as smooth as possible. And I think in life has taught me that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. So it's like, you have to approach a situation where maybe there's an issue on a file, there's an issue with this or that. And the first question is it fixable? Can we fix this? Most of the time it's a yes. Very few times it's a absolutely not. We have to cancel the file. That has happened, before. But for the most part, usually things are fixable. And so I think, again, maintaining your own peace. Like, the first year I was emotionally a roller coaster. And I didn't like it. And I made a firm stop. And I said, okay, I do care for every person. So, I mean, every person that I help, I have that transaction in my heart. And if there are problems in the transaction, I feel them and I'm trying to work through them. But I kind of let it go a little bit too far, where I wasn't sleeping at night thinking about the file and thinking about the situation. And then I really had to just say, Suzanne, staying up all night, not getting sleep isn't doing anything. It's not fixing the problem. It's not solving it necessarily, but I just allowed that worry to consume me. And I think that was probably the number one change that I made my second year. Was I said, okay, this year I'm not going to allow it to consume me. And I doubled my production. And I won't say that I worked harder than I did my first year. My first year, I mean, I was gone every day. I mean, driving, showing property every single day. But what happened that year was that I just mentally was just exhausted and I was overloaded. So I didn't have the capacity to handle more. My second year, I cut that, nipped it in the bud and said no more. And I doubled my production. But then again, here we are, starting my third year in business. I could even do better, because again, I did still feel, I still am human. I still have to catch myself in those moments and say, okay, don't let this get to you, because then it's going to affect other things, right? Not just this transaction, but maybe the next person you talk to. I've been doing a better job, and here I am doubling my production again. But again, I'm getting better. I'm not doing more marketing or more this. I'm getting better. And so I'm doing better.
That's a really good way of putting it. It's like we're trying to wait for the world to get better around us, and it's never going to change. You're saying if you want improvement, you got to internalize it and find it in yourself.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because insanity is you have to deal with the same problems with the same clients and the same stuff, and that will never change. The only thing that can change is you. So internalizing it is probably where you need to be. So let me ask you this. 2 last questions. One, what do you dislike in a lender?
Lack of communication.
Okay. Every realtor says that. So there clearly has to be something to it.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a lender?
Communication. It's really
really that
simple.
simple.
It's really that simple. It's not the best rates. It's not, the best this or the best that, because I tell you what, like, I want to work with people who have a pleasing personality, can be consistent in communication. Again, the same way that I work with a client. I mean, I have every price point. We just got approved somebody that I'm going to be showing property for I think the lowest price point we're looking at is $150. Now, I better show up and treat them the same way. I'm also meeting tomorrow with someone who's in the $700,000 price point, and they're all cash. They don't need a loan. So they're in a different bracket, so to speak. But I'm not going to treat either of them differently. They're going to get the same me. And I think that's really important, because there are people who shy away from the quote unquote small deals. But I really feel like those are the deals that mean the most, because again, they're never going to forget what you did for them, because again, it's easy to go after the quote unquote big money. That's easy. Everybody wants those deals. But I mean, again, I've had agents call me and even people have said, what's the lowest price point you're willing to work with me to find? Any price point, like, who am I to judge? And some people, might say, oh, well, you're not protecting your time, or you don't value your time enough. And I would say that maybe those people have overvalued their time, because again, who is more important than a buyer? Like, that's what we're here to serve, as a buyer or a seller, but I mean, that's our audience. And so at what point are we too good to say you could disqualify yourself from working with me?
I say that about doing like HELOCs and seconds where there's no money on them. I'm like, yeah, but it's like marketing for you that actually pays you. Not a lot, but it's paying you, because small fish catch big fish.
Yeah.
The truth is, you don't know where that's going to go. And if all the money gets into the same pot, and you deal with the smaller borrowers, well, you don't know who they know.
Yeah.
And you don't know where that direction is going to go. I think that's a really, really big point. And I think internalizing and improving yourself in a world that is going to be stagnant and never change, I think is a really, really great point. So again, I asked you this before, and this is going to be on our show. Any parting thoughts about realtors or lenders that they should do in a market that we're going into right now? One step.
I would say be grateful and thankful for every and any deal that you can get your hands on, and you treat them like they're your top client, and they will probably become one of them.
You know what? Grateful people are always happy. Entitled people are never happy. So if you're grateful, it'll make you happy. If you're entitled, you'll never find happiness. I think that's a great point. Suzanne, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And if you guys want to get in touch with her and you're looking to buy a house somewhere in Northern California, here's the number. You guys have a good day.